From the garage that sparked the global self-care movement, welcome to the Human Garage Experience, a podcast where we have unfiltered conversations on self-healing, consciousness, and optimizing your life with fascinating individuals changing the status quo. I'm your host, Garry Lineham, and I'm honored to have you here. Let's get down to it. I'm here with David JP Phillips, storyteller, author, and success coach and entrepreneur, telling stories and how stories affect the way that we look, feel, act in our lives, bringing success and relieving issues like depression, anxiety, and how to cope with daily life, how to move through that life with greater ease and get what you want. This is a compelling, and I mean completely compelling story. He's a Grandmaster Sagittarius, and for those of you guys who follow me, Grandmaster Sagittarius meets Grandmaster Sagittarius.
My name is David JP Phillips, and I'm most known for my TED Talks, which are among the most viewed ones in the world on public speaking and communication. Most recently, I published a book called High on Life, which has been released in 35 different languages, where you will learn how to create neurotransmitters on command in yourself to shift your psychological state when you need it. I've had one of the most profound conversations in such a long time. There's so much to learn and so much to take with you from this chat. And I solemnly believe that where I come from and where I've been, that the stuff that you can take with you is and can be life-changing. So listen with care and intent, and do what I did. Take charge of your life, because it's worth it.
David, it's really good to have you here.
I'm happy to be here, man. Welcome to Sweden.
Thank you. You have, first of all, do you mind me asking how old you are?
I am 47.
47.
Yeah.
So this is a real embodiment year for you. I'm 56, so 9 years older. But today is a turning point day. You've been going through some stuff lately. And I'll show you, because I do astrology. For me, the way I see the world is through astrology. Now, you're an international bestseller, you're out speaking all the time, you're motivating people to take action in different ways. So part of it is I like to make sense of why people tick. And so here's a quick snapshot of what I see.
Okay. Wow, there's a lot of words here that I don't really understand, but what is Sagittarius in the 7th house?
Yeah, just go, you can skip down to what it means. That's the...
Okay, all right.
27 degrees Sagittarius and Mercury.
I think you'll have to explain. I'm not entirely with you on that, but it's...
Here, let me do it another way. Because this is actually saying, David is here to teach people how to believe in something bigger, not just intellectually, but in a way that's practical, embodied, and makes their lives work better. He does this through storytelling structure and helps other people reframe how they see the world. But underneath that, his personal journey has been learning how to feel safe expressing and letting go and letting his real energy come through. He holds a lot of wisdom in his body, especially emotional memory. And it's only recently started to surface in a way that transforms how he relates to others, speaks publicly, and builds intimacy. So here's what's been going on the last 3 months.
That was very spot on. Yeah, it's very, very spot on. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and the last 3 days in particular probably had a few deep conversations that made you feel seen or mirrored. Something about people or environment around him has helped him to realize he's on the edge of something bigger. You may have had flashes of clarity or purpose, haven't fully spoken them out loud yet. Maybe we'll get to that today. This is a moment before the shift, when inner realization starts to meet outer opportunity. Stockholm is where you process deep emotional memories, get in touch with more spiritual, internal side of yourself, feel nudged towards honesty, truth, and simplicity. This city supports a slowing down of your brain, feeling in your body, speaking from the gut, not the mind. He's also in a place where powerful endings and beginnings tend to happen here. What's shifted since your birthday? Letting go of old beliefs about who you're supposed to be. A new version of you has been forming. Less about polish, more about being raw and real. Ended big phases in business, relationships, or public identity. Also likely questioning, who am I now that I don't need to prove anything? This has been a deep identity transition, as our life might not fully reflect it yet, but inside, you're not the same person that you were since your birthday. And then it goes into what's coming in the next 30 days. I can send it all to you.
Oh, neat. Oh, next 30 days. That's always good to know, to be what to be prepared for.
Yeah, so so when you
Cool.
when you look at it that way, astrology, it's obviously something that you haven't looked at. I did it because I wanted to define a way. I wanted to look at a way, try to understand who people were so I could help them better. And if I could find out how they received information, how they processed it, like what were they dealing with at that particular time. It was just a way for me to help understand people a bit better. Tell me a bit about yourself. Tell me, I know what I've read. I know what I've seen. You're quite a prolific speaker. You're a Grandmaster Grandmaster Sagittarius.
Oh yeah, you still need to tell me what that is, yeah.
Well, so in astrological terms, you lived a lot of lives in the Sagittarius, which is the adventurer, the teacher, the truth seeker. And you're here this life to master it. You're bringing all of those pieces together. Usually it means in the first 30 years of your life, there's like a lot of rough ups and downs and extremes. So those are like edges of the playing field so that you learn how to act more in your power. In other words, if you had an easy life, you wouldn't be as good as you are today. And that's kind of the moniker of a grandmaster.
Yeah.
Cool. Makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Makes sense. I think the year was 38. That's when I realized I was depressed. And I had been depressed for 17 years. So that is probably in line with what you said, that most of my life it's been pretty rough. And but that was the awakening moment, when I realized that, damn, life isn't pointless, life isn't dark, and I don't have to kill myself. And that was around 37, 38. And it came about after I had no self-leadership at all. I had no idea of how to control my mind or how to, through neuroplasticity, rewire my thoughts. So
what's interesting about 38? That's a Grandmaster Sagittarius year. Because that nets to 12, and you're a 12-degree Sagittarius.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes sense that that makes sense it happened that year.
Yeah. Things add up.
So you were depressed for 17 years.
Yeah. Yes, and then I didn't know. I just noticed something was wrong with me compared to my friends, and I didn't really believe in medication. But I'd read a lot about meditation, so I started meditating like 20 minutes a day for about 6 or 8 weeks. And then on a particular November walk with my wife, I was struck by an emotion I hadn't felt in my entire adult life. And I just halted. And she looked at me, she asked me what's wrong, and I tried to describe it. And she said, that sounds like happiness. And then I realized I'd never felt that. That was when I was 38, that November.
Wow.
But I had that emotion in me for about 5 minutes. And then it went away to the usual dark, horrid place that I always was in. But now I finally found a contrast, right? I saw there was light out there. There's like 5 minutes of joy. So I just went at it, because I just realized that I can have more of this. And I've been teaching neuroscience for about 25 years. So I just started applying all of what I've learned about neurochemistry and neuroscience on myself. And 18 months later, I'd hacked my depression. And it was the best thing I've ever done. Nothing comes close. Being a billionaire, buying cars, getting kids, nothing comes close to being depressed and then non-depressed.
Yeah, I relate to that. I didn't know I was depressed.
You didn't either?
No.
Oh. No, you don't. I just snuck into it.
Yeah, it just was the way I operated, and I always looked for hope. I always look for things to make me feel better, to be better in the outside world.
Yeah.
And as I chased them, I did more. For me, I drank, I did drugs, I went downward a spiral. But
Yeah.
I was still building businesses and things like that.
Functioning depression, yeah.
Yeah, functioning depression.
So how did you figure out you were depressed?
It was funny because when I got into healthcare to manage my physical pain, I came out of stress long enough through repetitive treatments that I had the moment of clarity, like you discussed. And but I still wouldn't even have defined it really as depression. I just not functioning the way I wanted to. That's the Sagittarius in me. Just like I didn't really call it depressed. I just said I wasn't functioning at my best. I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
But I had that moment of clarity of happiness. It was a shift in 2010. I had this moment of happiness and in a really, really rough spot. And that's where it was like, if I'm happy here, like, how could I be happy here? Because my circumstances weren't good.
Oh, wow. So quite similar then.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that the story is similar. So tell me about, you had this shift, and you say functioning in neuroscience. Tell me about that. Like what were you doing at that time? What was your job? What were you working at?
Well, I am a public speaker and a public speaking coach. So I train people in being better at communicating. I've got 3 TEDx talks, which are the second most viewed in the world on public speaking, which covers everything from body language, voice to storytelling. My talk on storytelling is the biggest in the world. So I teach people how to do this more proficiently. And I was functioning just as you were. And then I realized I was depressed, and I realized that my neurochemistry was out of whack. I realized I was addicted to dopamine, and I wasn't enjoying serotonin, and I was suppressing that, and I was just constantly in chronic stress. Obviously then impacting literally all my neurosubstances, from testosterone to estrogen to dopamine, endorphins, everything was impacted by that. And I started just tweaking that slowly by various kinds of methods. And 18 months later, I broke free from it. I realized that I was not alone, that there's closer to majority of the people on this planet who live in this state, more or less.
But they just don't know it.
No, they don't know it.
Fair enough. I completely agree with that statement. I would not have even thought that 15, 20 years ago, but today I do.
Yeah. Like there's a spectrum of sadness to depression, and most people live in that. So I started coaching my clients to get out of that, and then I realized that what I'd been missing all my career as a public speaking coach is that if you're not feeling well in here, if you're not communicating well with yourself in here, you'll never be a good storyteller. You'll never be consistently good on stage, because you'll simply start to doubt yourself, or you'll sidetrack, or you'll say things that you don't believe in, or you won't be connected to the script or the podcast that you're doing. You're not really grounded into what you're saying. So a person who can't communicate with themselves will not truly be able to communicate with others. So there's always going to be discrepancy. So that just became my thing. Wrote a book about it called High on Life, which is out in 35 languages now. And people just love the idea that they can, with very easy means, adjust their neurochemistry in a real-time basis. And a very simple example of that is, go do a cold exposure. And you'll provenly increase your dopamine levels by 400% and your noradrenaline levels by 450%. And you'll get a kick out of the endorphins. So when you get up, you're a changed person for 4 hours. Anyone can adjust their neurochemistry very easily by methods like this and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's kind of very quick summary.
How long were you speaking and doing public speaking and training and coaching people before you wrote books?
Probably about 12, 15 years.
So quite some time.
Yeah.
And then the order of your books? and the names of them?
I've only got one main one, which is High on Life.
Right.
And that's the one that's out in all of these languages. I've written small books before that, but nothing serious.
Right.
This was the first serious one.
First serious one.
Where I noticed that there was nothing out there similar to this, and it could make a difference for people. So I just put a lot of more effort into it.
And then you, and how long have you been in that phase before? Because you're known to, or at least publicly known to, move towards longevity type work and.
Yeah, and not just longevity, but I think I'm also interested in things like how do you get the most out of the moment during that longevity? Because it doesn't matter if you live for 120 years, if you're in a non-optimal mental state during those 120 years. I'd rather live for 60 in a highly optimal mental state than 120 not.
Yeah.
And also things like ability to slow down time, because 120 years in a perception of time which runs fast, it's not worth as much as a life where time runs slower and you just got 80. So I like all kind of facets of it. Slowing down time, and then longevity, and
what does
enjoying.
slowing down time feel like or look like to you, and how do you do it?
I think everyone's experienced that, haven't we? If we do something, sometimes we feel that time, it differs. Like if we try to guess how much time has passed, we go like, that's 40, that's 60. And sometimes time just runs faster and slower. And the ability to control that, I think, is pretty cool. Like we know scientifically that the more activities that you experience in a certain set of time, which is new to you,
Mm-hmm.
you will experience that time as going slower than if what you experience is something that you've already experienced. So if you go to a place the first time in a car, it'll always go slower getting there and faster going back.
Yeah.
Yeah, because going there is all new experiences. Everything's new around you. Going back, you've seen it before. So one way to slow down time is to challenge yourself to not get into routines, because then time will just fly. So yeah, I like challenging that idea.
So I actually have a story about that. I've never told this story before. I used to encrypt data for governments. I was a whistleblower in 2005, U.S. government.
Mm-hmm.
They arrested me, locked me up for 27 months while I was trying to get encryption codes out of me, and 17 months of solitary confinement. And
whoa.
Yeah. And I was dying. Every day was like a year. And every day was like a year. What happened was there was a point in time where I was through that 17 months, which was just, it seemed like 30 years. And I negotiated my way out. I'm going to get out. And they put me back from solitary into general population. And I'm sitting down with a guy, and for the first time, I'm happy. I'm like playing cards. I'm like I'm interacting with people, and that's a big thing after 17 months. And he goes, "Oh, sorry, I gotta go. I got things to do." And I'm like, "Things to do? You're in prison, dude. Like, sit down, play cards." And he goes, "No, I've gotta go. I've got this to do, with that to do." And he had all this time schedule, and I'm like, "That's crazy." And what happened is even the guards would say to me, "Lineham, you're gonna start programming. You're gonna start everybody was telling me I didn't know what this meant because I wasn't from this culture. And what they would do is the same thing at the same time every day, and it makes time speed up. And I've never heard it, you say it that way. I mean, but that was the idea. It was like, keep things on the same routine every day, and time just starts to disappear.
Wow.
Because there's no new experience.
Yeah.
And they actually do this as a way in prison to make time go faster.
No way, I didn't know that.
Isn't that crazy?
That's a brilliant story. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one that you could use around it.
When you look back at that time that you were in prison, and you said 27 months.
17 months in solitary.
So if you'd look back at that now, how long would you estimate that felt like compared to other times in your life?
17 months felt like it was about 10 years.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and when I got out, it felt like I had lost. Like a lot of times, like people had grown up, things had changed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really that long. It was like under 3 years.
Mm.
Yeah, it was quite an experience.
Yeah.
So since you said that, it brought me back to that. I had forgotten really about that. Like
Yeah.
that your conversation led me to that, that feeling, that memory.
Well, that's fascinating. Another angle to that as well is, dopamine.
Yeah.
Is the anticipation of is part of the psychological effect. Is the anticipation of reward, like a kid looking forward to opening the presents in Christmas, or looking forward to seeing somebody new. It has been shown that when we're high on dopamine, time also runs faster than if we're low on dopamine.
Sure. Yeah. Under stress, action. The dopamine is to have your attention, like your devices get your attention.
Yeah.
That's to be at tension.
Yeah.
When you're at tension, your body's in dopamine, whether it's mental or physical.
Yeah.
Attention creates dopamine, and
Yeah.
that's what they're doing. I mean, my expertise is in the human body and programming the human body.
Yeah, I've seen you. Mm.
Yeah, and that's really that's what it is. Everything's grabbing our attention in this world today, and that's why this happens.
Yeah.
You want to see something? You want to try something that raises serotonin?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Take your right hand, go into your left hip, pull the skin up really, really hard. Like from your left hip, pull it up to the center.
From my left hip. Okay.
Yeah, pull it up to the center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then stretch it. Put your left hand here, and then breathe in through your mouth 3 times. Through your nose 3 times. It's a change in the state.
Yeah.
You notice that we're closer together,
Yeah.
and the world seems, in the camera, seem a little bit farther apart.
Yeah.
It's part of an organ reset. We have 10 of those movements, and each one creates a slightly different effect.
Yeah, it's very similar. True.
Kind of gives things get brighter,
Mm. Yeah, and more present.
more present.
Yeah.
You want to do another one?
Sure. Yeah. Do you have another one?
10 of them.
Oh, you've got 10 of those. Oh my God.
So here's one for Sagittarius.
Uh-huh.
Okay, take your left hand, put it behind your back, right on your spine, with your hands on your rib cage right across, like you're grabbing your rib. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Take your right hand here, and then breathe in through your mouth. Through your nose. Say, I'm letting go of worry,
Letting go of worry.
replacing this with trust.
Replacing this with trust. Yeah, they both feel good. How did you find them? How did you come across them?
The story of those is actually kind of interesting. You're Sagittarius like you're an adventurer, you're an explorer, right? So I'm working with these craniopathists who would relieve a liver issue by doing this method. They would hold their hands and I'm like, wow, that's pretty incredible. Can I do it? No, it takes years of training. And I'm like, tell me.
Yeah.
I'm like, did it work? Well, it worked. I'm like, well, that's really cool. I'm like, can I do it to myself? No, you have to. I'm like,
Yeah.
so it was just looking at that and then saying, well, hold on a second. If it works for that organ and that emotion, it must work for other ones. So just exploration. I imagine is that how you got to a lot of your own practice, is exploration, just personal N of 1 experiments?
Often, yeah. Often, I hang out at PubMed quite a lot, which is a website for
Yeah, no PubMed.
Yeah, most scientific articles around there. And I read about something new, and then I start trying it on myself to see if I can achieve the same results. And if I do, then I try it on others to see if it holds up for other people as well. And if it does, then I kind of incorporate it in my teachings and in my books.
Do you care about science or do you care about results?
I think I do care about science, absolutely. I think what's important for me is just being able to replicate things.
Yeah, so if you have something that's not scientific and then you can replicate it?
Perfectly fine, as long as I can replicate it and I can show it not just by me, but by others as well.
So results. Science informs, results transmit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for say me, I started off in moving to medical, and then following the science of medicine and neuroplasticity of the brain, retraining, reprogramming, neuromuscular calibration, movement, and then just saying, well, hey, if I can do it here, what if I can do it over here? And if it worked over there, let's try it on somebody else.
Yeah.
And if it worked over there and I could teach somebody else to do it, then let's try it at scale.
Yeah.
That was my whole thing.
I do love science, but we've also got to be able to understand that science is a growing field and it's very limited. And if we fast forward, 50 years from now, the amount of science that we've come up with so far is probably going to just be 25% of what we've figured out in the next coming 50 years. So it's such an immature area, and there's so much outside of science that as long as it can show results and be replicated, I do trust that, even if it has not been scientifically proven.
That's me. I mean, almost everything that we do in this process right now that's sweeping the world with tens of millions of people has no peer-reviewed science. I mean, we've done our own science, anecdotal for sure, but and we've just deployed it over tens of millions of people, and that's the foundation of it. It works. The results are there.
Yeah.
Somewhere, I kept saying, somewhere science has to recognize that results are more powerful than limited tests, and that the results at scale work. Then science can explain why it works, not if it works.
Yep. True. I think
like what you just did.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
Why it works? I mean, I have an opinion, I have a belief, but who knows? Really, who knows?
Oh no. So much that isn't explained so far. But I think it's like, if we go back to what we said before as well, I just wanted to add one more comment because I find that so fascinating. That is that, imagine if there was a device that I could give you or anyone that could speed up time. That could make people's lives shorter, right? How many do you think would have a device like that? Very few would say yes to it, yeah?
Right.
Here, you have this, it'll make your experience your life in a shorter realm. What's interesting is that everyone has one, and it's a mobile phone, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as we're bored, as soon as time goes slow, we pick up the mobile phone to speed up time again, to jump forwards in time. And then as soon as we're bored again, mobile phone up again. So it's literally a device that shortens life because we experience time in a shorter scale when we look at our mobile phones, because it constantly induces dopamine.
Interesting way of looking at it. I love the way that you frame up situations and change the narrative. That's how I do things with the human body. I frame up things in a different way.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic. I'm going to use that one now.
Yeah.
Holy smokes! I think.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a waste. Well, not a waste. There's obviously room for appreciating, experiencing life, and enjoying life as well. And some of that you can get from your mobile phone, but when you become too addicted to it, it's literally a speed up device.
What do you think in your? I mean, you work with tens of thousands of people, and hundreds of thousands through your millions through your books and your videos and stuff like that. What are people looking for the most that you get to help them with?
Well, I'd say from a mindset perspective, it's probably I think it's a little bit of a mix of things, but in my book I have a metaphor called the angels and the devil's cocktail. And the devil's cocktail, the metaphor then goes like this, that a devil's cocktail is, I usually do this as a metaphor when I have an audience in front of me. I'd like to offer you a devil's cocktail, right? So we got 50% of high chronic cortisol, which you've been experiencing for the last 6 weeks. We've got spikes of adrenaline, We've got suboptimal versions of serotonin and high levels of dopamine. And I'll give you that to drink. And that'll put you in a very agitated state. You'll become negative, you'll see things out of a problematic position instead of an opportunistic position. You'll see people in a bad light, and you'll take worse decisions. So I'd like to give you an angel's cocktail instead, where we know that a small dose of dopamine and noradrenaline will increase your focus and presence in that moment. I'll also give you some oxytocin, which will allow you to feel calmness, your heart rate will go down, and you'll feel more present and caring. I'll also give you some endorphins, which will numb your pain just slightly if you have any. And it'll also make you more open and more positive. I'll also increase your testosterone levels, which will make you feel just a bit more confident. And then we'll just sprinkle that with a bit of cortisol, because in small doses, it's lovely. Here we go. I'll give that to you to drink. And suddenly you'll, metaphorically, fold out angel wings. Give this person a kiss on the cheek. You'll check, do you need money? Because he's got more than plenty. And he'll be grateful, take better decisions. And I say to my audience, this is what I'm going to do with you for the next 1 hour. I'm going to produce all these neurochemicals in you through various techniques. I hope you're up for the ride. And then that's what I do. And at the end of the session, they go, oh my God, the only thing I've been doing wrong is I've been drinking too many devil's cocktails, and I now know how to mix an angel's cocktail in myself on a daily basis.
Thanks for watching and tuning in. These conversations have radically shifted my life, and I want you to experience those radical shifts too. Take these conversations and integrate them into your body by joining one of our Fascial Maneuver Reset programs. Introduction to Fascial Maneuvers, 7-day reset or 28-day reset. We're going to put the links below. Take that cerebral knowledge and that experience that you're having right now and bring it into your life by resetting it in your body. These programs have radically shifted my life, and I know they'll radically shift yours. Don't wait another moment. Reset your life today. I just need you to do promotional videos for Fascial Maneuvers. Because I'm listening to you. Your analogies are great. I'm going to steal a whole bunch of them. I hope you're okay with that. I'll give you public credit for it, but moving. My answer to solving my issue of 35 years of pain, after 300 practitioners, $2.5 million, becoming a practitioner, and $17.5 million total, 52 practitioners, 25 disciplines, working and all that. The answer was, when the pandemic came, I was not in the way I wanted to be again. I was back in pain and dysfunction and not thinking right. And these maneuvers that are now fascial maneuvers, which are sweeping the world, are the way that I got myself out of that. And I got myself out of pain, and I got myself out of pain long enough, 2, 3 times, 4 times a day. And then over the course of a month, all of a sudden I had this awakening. Because when I was out of pain long enough, my baseline stress level reset, my baseline chemistry reset. And I experienced something that I'd never even experienced as a medical practitioner.
Yeah.
I experienced an emotional release that I didn't even know that I had, because it had been buried there.
So powerful, man.
And the fascial maneuvers that we do, in the first 7 to 10 minutes, they take out 75 to 90% of the stress in your body. And I just did a small event here in Stockholm before I saw you. And I literally just got everybody high, serotonin, dopamine. I got them to release DMT in their system. And I did that through the course of an event. And I do that within 10 minutes or 15 minutes, or appropriately 30 to 40 minutes. I do all those for these maneuvers. And that was my way out of it. And then we just put it out worldwide. That's part of the reason why I think that they're expanding so fast.
Yeah.
And you just tried 2 of the organ resets, which have an immediate, definitive change. And
yeah,
that's crazy.
That is beautiful.
I mean, you sound like me. I sound like you. Or I sound like you.
What a weird dialogue.
Well, I mean, no,
Same thing, but 2 different directions.
Because you sound like a medical practitioner.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
love the subject. Spent so many years in it.
And I sound like
fascinating.
I sound like a coach.
Yeah, it's a good combo. It's a good combo.
No, it's bizarrely funny listening to you. I'm sitting here. I feel like I'm listening to myself.
Yeah,
The way you're talking about it, I
Yeah.
use the same, slightly different, but I use the same analogies. I talk to people. I literally was just saying the same thing before I came here.
Yeah, wow.
How is that possible?
That's strange. We've never met. And I haven't attended your trainings. You haven't attended my trainings. So,
Well, would you say that?
paths.
Would you say that there's a common truth? Like, if there's a common truth, would that be true all over the world? And if we experience it, we just explain it a different, maybe the same truth but slightly different way.
Maybe. Like electricity was discovered in 3 different places around the world, literally in the same instance of time, and they had no connection with each other. And that's been true for many inventions throughout human mankind.
That's actually why the U.S. Patent Office exists, because they know that to be true. That's the entire intention of the USPTO, was to give credit to the one who brought it to market first, not the one who discovered it, because they knew that 2 people discovered it at the same time.
And then you're Norwegian, you're English, you said?
Norwegian English?
Yeah. And I'm Swedish, Norwegian, English. Weirdly enough, when I was 37, I received the weirdest email I've ever received, and it was from my brother, who I didn't know I had, half-brother. And he said, hey, I don't know if you know about me, but I'm your half-brother. Do you want to meet up? And I met up with him. He has never been in contact with my father, no one from my relationships or relatives. We met up, and he was, and I was, identical. Like, our life paths have been identical, what we've learned, what we've done.
When's his birthday?
His birthday is
March 30th?
No, 25th of June. Yeah.
25th of June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just weird. That's just genes, and we were identical in our choices in life as well. What I'm saying is that you're Norwegian English, I am as well. So maybe.
Okay. Since
maybe we're related, man.
Since we're here, yeah, maybe we're related. Since we're here, okay. Here's my twin.
That's your twin?
Yeah.
Was that what you said? Okay.
So here's my twin. Same teeth, same eyes,
Yeah.
same hair, same ears, same coloration of the neck, right?
Yeah.
So these are some ways that you can look in genealogy, and you can say, well, yeah, they're twins.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Here's their feet.
Yeah. It's crazy similar, yeah.
Yeah. So the craziest part about this is that we're actually, and I'll show you, we're not actually from the same parents.
No?
No. But what is identical is this chart. These are our astrology charts. And the only difference is that this is the same architecture slightly turned on a clock. In other words, there's 2 digits here that are different. The moon, how we emote our emotions, and our ego and where we're going.
Okay.
That was pretty cool find, huh?
Wow.
But I have 46 of them.
46, which are similar to yours.
Yeah, 1/3 of them look identical to me.
Oh.
And the other 2/3, you could see that you would know that we're like brothers and sisters.
What? That is astounding. How did you find them?
I had 4 of them in the same room in Dubai almost by accident just recently before I got here.
That is so crazy. Have you met anyone that looks like you or is identical to you, but they don't have the similar pattern?
No. I mean, if you're same genetics,
Yeah.
like you could look by your brother or something like that, I get that. But that led me to believe that maybe there's a step above genetics. Before, when we had genes, then we look at the expression of genes, epigenetics.
Yeah.
Okay? We know how stress impacts that stressors or impact the genes that cause the genes to dysregulate. Good expression, bad expression. Well, what if there was a science that looked one step further? Because when we discovered genetics, then Then recently we've looked at emotional genetics, because epigenetics is like, well, environmental stressors affect the genes. But we now know that emotional genetics affect those genes too. So we have genetics, environmental genetics, epigenetics. We have an emotional genetics. So what if we had another layer that we weren't aware of? Because we weren't aware of epigenetics before genetics. So I'm looking at what I believe is another layer.
Fascinating thought.
Since I deal with fascia, I say fascinating.
Yeah. It's a good play with words. I'm absolutely certain there's something outside of it as well. I just don't know what it is. But it seems like you've come quite far in your theories and conclusions around it. I haven't, but I do believe there's something outside of it.
Yeah, I really wasn't going there. I really wanted to know, just dig into you a little bit more. But sitting here talking, when I pulled your astrology just before I came here, because I didn't have a chance to do it earlier, I realized you're Grandmaster Sagittarius, and I'm like, oh, that's really funny, because another part of my makeup of degrees is Grandmaster Aries. So I had a podcast with a lady here earlier today. She's a Grandmaster Aries, and I have a Grandmaster Aries in my chart too. You have lots of Grandmaster in your chart too, so different things. So a couple of Grandmaster Sages. I'm like, what are the possible chances of that happening? And this is kind of, over the last little while, I've had all of these, what is the possibility of these things happening? Like, it just doesn't even make sense that all of this stuff could happen at the same time. Like, what are the chances? We had 4 of us. Simona over there is also December 20th, my birthday. And we were in Dubai, and we had 4, 2 unplanned, of us show up at the same time on a very astrologically significant day, all 4 of us with the same birthday. One came from Israel, one came from Dubai, we didn't even know. And we ended up in the same room at a very, very specific time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there has to be more to this puzzle. There has to be more to this life than I'm currently able to comprehend.
Oh, absolutely. Like, beyond what we can fathom, truly. I don't think we're even close to it. And I think also, sadly, we're too stupid to comprehend it.
I agree, we're too stupid. Even when we get to the science of the body.
Yeah.
Let me... So, I went down the science path of the body, but I came to some big walls, gapping walls, which are part of the theory, like our bone structure. Well, none of them touch. How could they be structure? Just didn't make sense to me. There has to be something else. That's where I came to connective tissue as a structure. And it makes sense, because connective tissue is everywhere, but bones don't touch. Structure is nailed together. How do we move when we step on glass? We say peripheral nervous system. But when I step on glass, I don't go like boing. I move intelligently some way. Same thing at, how do I move when someone throws something at me and I didn't even see coming? My brain wasn't involved in that decision. So how is it the body knows, position orientation, knows to be in certain places? In sports, we just say they got a gift. But but it happens to everybody at some point in their life.
Yeah.
So we have all these things. When I hit the science wall, like one of the science things that I got, which was really bizarre, is everything from thinking to blinking. Every eye, every expression, every hormone is the articulation of proteins that go on and off in the cell. And so without proteins that are turning on or off, we don't exist as human beings.
No.
So take that a step further. So they would be arguably the most important thing about us. And we have 50 trillion cells. We have between 5 and 20,000 proteins per cell. So for round number, just use 10,000 per cell. We have 5 quintillion proteins. Now, it could be more, it could be less, but magnitude is great. Now we have the ocean right outside behind you. That's a small chunk of ocean. If we were to take and block off the harbor here and analyze everything and the life in this ocean and said, we understand all the oceans of the world because we analyzed it here in Stockholm in this small little inlet, that would be absurd.
It would?
Well, out of those 5 quintillion proteins, science has only identified 100,000 and we only work with 5,000 of them. And since they're the most important thing of life, we know 5,000 of 5 quintillion. And I'm like, wait, as soon as I got that number, I'm like, wait a second. You're telling me that we only know this little about this whole big thing? I said, I'm divesting myself from all science. I'm just going to go right for experience, reproduce experience, and then move forward. It's not that I can't use science to inform me, but but I'm like, we're pretending that we know something about the human body when we don't. And these little examples here have led me to go, whoa, wait, there's more to it. Because I couldn't explain this scientifically, but I can astrologically. And so is astrology science? And is it or isn't it? And who really knows? And I think it's an observation. But all of a sudden I became inspired. So part of it was, you said something earlier which got me. It's like, when you're experiencing something new, it's like time slows down, and I wanted to slow down my life and enjoy my life. And so I observed this part of the world, and then all of a sudden my time is slowed down, and I'm experiencing all this stuff, and it's moving fast at the same time. So I'm getting what I want in my life fast, but at the same time I'm observing all this cool stuff. Like, here I am sitting across from a Norwegian, English, Irish Grandmaster Sage like myself, and I'm experiencing this, and I can't help but notice the awesomeness of that, of what are the chances.
Yeah, what are the chances? Oh, just look outside of the window, man. It's we've got trees, we've got water, we've got leaves, we've got nature, we've got life. Everything's so beautiful. It's mind-blowingly beautiful, and it's incomprehensible how it can even exist and be.
Sure.
Well, there's chances of all of this happening on Earth, and the universe and everything. It's like we're just so far from comprehending how it all actually functions.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to know. I want to experience.
Yeah.
So what do you think in your mind now? Like, arguably you're the best in the world at what you do. So what do you think stops people? Like, what are the big roadblocks that they have today?
Well, it depends on what you're looking for, really. But like, most people compare themselves to everybody else, and there's a standard in the society where it's important to become rich. There's a standard to have a well-functioning family. There's a standard and moral code that you're supposed to be a father and a mother in a particular state or part of your life. And the way you behave, religion, and all of that. But all of that is made up, though. And I think people are trying to conform to something that is invented and isn't actually real. So I think a lot of people are chasing something that is made up, moral codes that are made up for us to function in society, and it makes people sad. The 8 to 5, generally, as an organism, where does that make sense? It doesn't make sense anywhere. Nobody would be happy with an 8 to 5. People get any kind of job just to be able to function from an 8 to 5, or they work nights. And like, from an evolutionary point of view, from evolutionary psychology, we've never been in segregated as we are. Like, Sweden is one of the most segregated countries in the world, where people they live man and wife in a small apartment with 50 apartments, and there's a man and wife in each and every one of these apartments, and they don't know each other. It's never been like that before. Like, from an evolutionary point of view, we used to live in communities of 30, of 100, where if you had a child, I as part of that community would help take care of that, and we would be a lot of people doing that. But these days we're not. So we're chasing something that is dysfunctional. So I think that's where most people go wrong, because they're chasing something that they don't really need or want as an organism. But it's very hard to reset that and just go like, what is the actual point, like, of your life? What do you actually want to achieve? What do you actually want to do? And the happiest people I've met are the people that usually have taken a step away from society. So our gardener, for instance, at the manor, He wants nothing. He needs nothing. He goes into the forest and he picks mushrooms and he picks berries and he picks roots and he cooks his own food with what he finds. And he entertains himself with his hobbies. And he's just the most fulfilled person, like one of the most fulfilled people I've met. And I'm not saying that is right or wrong, but I'm just, based on your question, my answer is people are chasing something that is unnatural and they're finding that weird, that's difficult.
Isn't time itself unnatural? The measurement of it?
Yeah. It is.
Because
it's just made up.
Yeah, it's made up. And that's when you were saying that, the first thing I thought of is that if you asked a native what time is it, it's now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not like it's like the sun is high, the sun is low. That's the only measurement they had. It's either day or night. And
yeah, it would be fascinating to live under that kind of like brain setting.
To be honest with you, I'm trying. I'm not trying, I'm actually doing.
Wow.
So like, for example, I don't know what day of the week it is usually. I do know it's Sunday today. I didn't know it this morning. I do know the astrology day because I needed something to ground myself in safety, to take myself out of daze. I live for the last 2 years in a new place every 2 weeks. And I've been deconstructing all of these things. Everything I own, I carry in a suitcase. I don't have a bank account. Don't have credit cards. Don't have a driver's license.
You have done that. You've stepped outside of what is expected from you.
Well, that's what I brought that up because you mentioned that. I mean, it's public knowledge of these things. Now, in order for me to do that, I've had to have a lot of people around me and things to make that happen. But the experience of it is, it's not an absolute because at some point I still need these things to function, or somebody does around me. The absolute of it is that these things still happen, but I've had the ability to have the experience to say, what does it feel like if I don't have to worry about those things? And in a weird experience, like when I went to prison and I got out of prison, things like using a cell phone or driving on a highway. Driving on a highway freaked the crap out of me when I got out, because I'd been a couple years not seeing traffic, and I was like panicking. And I'm a guy who drives fast and hard and stuff like that, because I hadn't had that dopamine rush for so long.
That is a big contrast.
Yeah.
Huge.
So what, if you were to look at it, what stops people from having a better life today? Because you talk to people all the time, helping them. When you're coaching them, what is it? What's the common themes that are coming up?
Well, one is the one I mentioned, that they believe they have to live according to a particular expectation.
Sure.
So the people who literally go, whatever, and they move away from Stockholm and they move like up north, where they can get a house in a much nicer spot, maybe by a lake, for a tenth of the price, which means that their worries go down, their stress goes down, and they just feel better. So letting go of expectations is probably one. And then limiting beliefs, the stuff that has been put into their brains by their parents, by their teachers, by their friends, by media, by news, that so many people are stuck with limiting beliefs holding them back. So that's usually something that you have to look at pretty quickly, like what are yours? What is holding you back? Why aren't you feeling good? Not why you're not performing good, but why aren't you feeling good? Because I believe as soon as you feel good, you'll perform good.
Fair statement.
So you start there. So I'd say those things. And then the angel's cocktail, as I said.
Yeah, the body and how it
reacts. 6 neurochemicals.
We're talking the same language. It's like get the body out of the way, get the body functioning, and then you have the ability to find the other things. If the body's not functioning, you're not going to find it. And you could do something about that. Do you feel that you have limiting beliefs still, or is there a limiting belief that you've been working through?
I've worked through several, absolutely. I don't think I've got any left, but I've also realized that they just creep up on you after a while, and you go like, oh damn, I missed that one.
Missed that one.
I didn't even know I had that one.
So what's a limited belief that you've had in the last year that came up, or the last 3 to 6 months, that one that you worked through?
I think one that I had, that was though a year ago. No, it was probably 2 years ago.
Yeah, in 2
something
years.
like that.
But
yeah.
what's one that you've recently worked through?
I was ugly. I was absolutely convinced I'm an ugly person.
Is that because of the red?
No, it's because the limiting belief was built from when I was in 5th grade.
Somebody said something to you in the 5th grade.
Yeah. I was let down by I asked a couple of girls out for dancing, and they consistently said no to me, and they said yes to the other guys in the class. And obviously limiting beliefs, the entire function of them is to get you to stay away from pain. So after being rejected 4 times, my brain invents this limiting belief, which literally goes like this: don't approach girls, they will hurt you, and the reason is probably that you're ugly.
How did you break through that?
Well, about 2 years ago, I just realized that I had it, and I sat down, and one very simple method was that you get 2 pieces of paper, and you write down the reasons you believe that you're ugly, and every single time anyone has ever specifically said that you're ugly on this piece of paper, and on this piece of paper you write the opposite. Every time anyone has specifically said that you've got nice eyes, or a beautiful color of hair, or something like that. And then you just realize that after writing down about 100 references, also about my personality, that this one so far outweighs this one, the brain just goes, ah. And you can quite quickly overcome a limiting belief by just proving that to yourself on 2 pieces of paper.
Wow. So the challenge is not how to solve it once you're aware of it. The challenge is to be aware of it.
That is the challenge, yeah. Getting rid of limiting beliefs is quite easy.
Is there anything that I can do or people can do to identify a limiting belief that they don't know that they have? Like, what are some things that you help them through or help them to get to do?
Sure, it's quite easy to listen to when a person meets you and they describe themselves, they usually tend to make fun of themselves somehow, to diminish themselves, something like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the joke they have.
Yeah, the joke they have about themselves.
Like I'm always late, or
I'm always late.
Or that's just the funny way I laugh.
Yes, I can't find my direction. I can't dance. I can't sing. I can't cook. I'm not romantic. I'm not lover. Whatever. When usually those things that people say to explain their identity to you, those are limiting beliefs, most likely.
So if I was alone, I didn't have you as a coach, what would one way that I could identify those?
Probably just think through what you usually say to people when you meet them and you try to make an impression and make them usually laugh. It's usually repeated over and over and over and over again for each social situation that you have. I'm not good at directions, and then you do your normal story and people laugh at you. But because you're doing that over and over and over again, you're just cementing that limiting belief. Because if you go back and you ask yourself, are you really that bad at direction? Like, if you truly pay attention to the signs, if you pre-plan, and if you take your time, do you really have that bad of a location, find direction? And the answer is usually no. But because it's become part of their identity and people laugh at that, they cling on to it.
Interesting. I'm learning a lot from you here today. A lot of it is because of reflection. In other words, I do a lot of things in my day, which I know you do too, that I'm not even aware of sometimes that I do. That one of the things that changed me a lot was I'm arguably probably one of the most recorded people I know anywhere in the world. Like, my actions are being recorded in video format on any given day, 12 hours.
Wow.
And so I get to see a lot of the crazy, stupid shit that I say or do.
Yeah.
And through that, I actually caught a lot of my beliefs and limited beliefs,
yeah,
but I
of
didn't
course.
realize that that's what I was doing. And so he said, I realized that what I would do is I would review game tape. In other words, like they do with an athlete. Athletes, they sit them down, they watch the game, they talk about it.
Yeah.
So my game tape would be like my podcast.
Yeah.
You listen to your podcast? Yeah, I listen to my podcast because when I listen to there, I see things that I like or dislike, or which I could do better. And I also get a reference of where I am. Like if I listen to a podcast where I was in 2017, it's very different than today. Do you have that same reflection when you go back and watch that worldwide TEDx talk?
Yeah.
Do you look at it? Do you ever watch it again and go, whoa?
Yeah.
Am I different today?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. And the first ones were horrible to watch because I saw so many mistakes. But these last ones.
But so many mistakes. It's one of the
enjoyable.
it's one of the most watched videos in the world.
Yeah, I know.
How many? So, if it's the most, have you had any that successful since?
Yeah. The one on storytelling is the last one. That's the most successful one. Yeah.
Was there mistakes there?
There were still some mistakes there, but
so maybe it's the mistakes that make them good.
Oh yeah, that is true. When I do plan my TEDx talks, they are so well prepared that I actually add mistakes for them to not seem perfect. Yeah.
I laugh because I do the same thing.
No way.
Yeah, and if it is too planned out, the other thing I do is like if I'm using a whiteboard, I purposely spell things wrong to get people off.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the Europeans. They always, if I write it wrong on the board, they all fired up about it.
The Germans will start throwing things at you.
Speaking of that, we were coming in Sweden, and I think he was German. And we were getting on the plane, and some poor girl was trying to put her luggage up in a small plane, and it wouldn't go. And he goes, "Are you stupid? Can't you see that that's not going to fit?"
Yeah.
This is the attendant.
Yeah.
Yelling across the plane.
Yeah. It's very German.
Yeah, very, very German. Yeah.
There's another interesting thing. I'll just answer that question again. One thing that they can do practically, the people listening, it's got different names, but focus question or primary questions. And it's the questions we ask ourselves about our surroundings on a daily basis, right? So if these questions that we ask ourselves about our surroundings are negative, they'll contribute to our devil's cocktail. If they're positive, they contribute to our angel's cocktail.
So like, give an example of that.
Yeah, and there's 4 of us in the room, so we can all try it. 5, I think, actually. So if we all look around, you two, and we go, what's wrong with this for 20 seconds? So if you just look around in the room.
Okay, a hat that says Holka.
And you don't have to talk. Just look for things that are wrong,
That's
like spots and marks and stuff like that.
Okay.
Just look for bad things that are wrong or smudge you.
Yeah, for me it's disorder.
And then you go 20 seconds and you ask this question instead. What is fantastic with that?
Oh, wow. I see it already. It's like, well, look at the view. I was looking at disorder, disorganization, the things that I don't like, things not properly in place.
Yeah.
Then when you said that, what's right with it? I had an emotional shift in my body.
Right? It was powerful.
Yeah, right and left.
And what you see in the smiles coming along. And the interesting thing with this is when I was in my depressed state, I had that first primary question fueling my devil's cocktail. Because wherever I went, whoever I met, I asked myself, what's wrong with this person? What's wrong with the way they're dressed? What's wrong with this setup? This was my constant focus question. I shifted that. That took me about 4 months of absolute determination to shift it to what's fantastic with that instead. But that was one of, I'd say, maybe 3 or 4 things that shifted my depression, was shifting that focus question.
In the middle of all these great conversations, sometimes you still need to take a minute to stop and breathe. Let's do that together. We're going to breathe 3 times to the mouth and 3 times to the nose. This is going to activate and rebalance your parasympathetic nervous system so you can absorb more. Breathe in with me through your mouth. 2. 3. Now 3 breaths through the nose. 2. 3. Now with that simple 6-breath reset, you can go back and enjoy more content. So to that exact statement, since I have been out of the clinic I was overworked 6 days a week, coming home frustrated, tired, physically tired, emotionally tired, didn't really realize the emotions were playing into that. And and then when I went to the Philippines this last year, I got put in a situation where, because I don't do treatments on people generally, and I was demonstrating to a lot of people, and they just booked me like 3-4 people a day, and they booked me out, and I'm like, just like a clinic again. And I got, like I was doing my best to work through it, and I about 8 or 9 days into it, I'm like, I was negative and angry and frustrated, and I didn't want to, and I want to help people all the time. I did want to help these people. And I told my partner, I said, hey, Jason, I need you to do this. I'm so off I know right now. I couldn't care less if they got help. And I'm like, I know that's not me. And so at the time I went back and I had no other way to recover that fast, so I went and got an IV. And because I knew I was physically fatigued, and then all of a sudden I had the energy to go a little bit longer. And I think this is part of what I've watched people do is they use supplements or technology and things like that to change their state, which you can do, even an ice plunge and stuff, that without also, they do that and then they do more of what was causing that problem in the first place, without backing out the entire, like saying, okay, why do I feel like this? And this is what I've noticed about biohackers and biohacking is that they reduce the tension to keep doing more of what they were doing that got them into the problem. Do you see that happen a lot?
Always,
What do you say to somebody? Like, how do you get them to shift that state? Because a lot of people are going to hear this, are performance-based, and they're doing things to perform better, but they're gradually getting worse because they're not removing the problem. Do you get that a lot?
Oh yeah, so often. I usually say that there's one tool, one technique that anyone and everyone on this planet literally should do, especially in Western society. I call it stress mapping. It's very, very simple. And it came about when I was depressed to such a state that one particular summer, I was lying in bed and I cried that all summer. And the only thing that kept my hope up was that you should be glad that you're crying, because when you don't cry and you're in that state, that's as low as you'll go. So
I just felt a bit of emotion from you there.
Yeah, it was a rough time.
Yeah, like literally, I just felt the emotion come up.
Yeah, it's a rough
Still
time.
a piece of that there?
Not really, but I'm as a public speaker, I'm very good at I'm going back to the emotions that I felt at particular instances in order to convey them to others.
Convey them to others. Yeah. Okay. Fair statement. I get that too.
Because otherwise, you can't really be authentic with people if you can't portray the emotion that you felt at the same time. So I've got an easy. I find it easy to go back to emotional states. So I was there. I was crying. It was a horrible summer. Definitely life was over. My wife comes up to me and she's way wiser than I am. Like she's the hero of my life. And she comes up and she says, "I'll take everything. I'll take over the cafe. I'll take over the companies. I'll take over the kids. I'll take over the cooking. I'll take over the cleaning. I'll take care of all of it. Everything. I'll make it happen." you just be you. And that was when I started just realizing that I could maybe just start that meditation. And after the meditation, I at the bridge, and then I found my depression. But without her helping me get out of that hole, I wouldn't have been where I am today. And I call this stress mapping, and what I do with my clients is just this. I sit them down, pen and paper, then I go, write down what stresses you. And they go like 3 things. I'm like, there's definitely more.
Yeah,
there's definitely more. Like, did you know just having your mobile phone by your side when you sleep causes stress?
Of course.
Okay, so that goes down. Do you have any unresolved conflicts with anyone, anywhere? That goes down on the piece of paper. Do you feel that you have enough money every month, or could you maybe get a cheaper car, or whatever it is? What stresses you? And when I truly ask them back and forth, we end up having 50 things.
Sure.
That more or less stresses them. And I say, let's remove 20%. Which one should we go for? Preferably, we should pick something that is quite large as well, because that makes it easier. Something that's holding you back. And then we just go for those 20%. And I give them a week to get rid of them. And then they get back to me and they said, oh my God, it feels like I can breathe again. Okay, we'll go for another 20%, or 10 at least. And they get rid of that, and their neurotransmitters start gaining traction again, because cortisol is constantly pushing them down. So suddenly they feel glad, happy, at ease, creative, to some extent even more present. And that's the only thing I did with them. They didn't have to do meditation. They didn't have to learn how to increase serotonin or dopamine. The only thing they had to do was reduce their stress by 30-40%. And they're freaking flying.
I laugh because the entire program of Fascial Maneuvers was the entire basis of our worldwide community, and our whole program is reduce 75 to 90% of your stress, and you can do it in the first 7 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's biologically true. You can measure it any way. That's what our whole program was based around, and that's what we have millions of people around doing. I love that. I love that. We're doing the same thing. It's what's crazy.
Yeah.
What is it? Is there anything about you that the public doesn't know that you want them to know, or that they're going to know?
That's a question I've never had before.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to answer that. How on earth do you answer something like that? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I usually have an answer for absolutely everything. I don't have an answer for that. I don't know how to answer that. What would that be? What would that be in your case? I'll just reverse the question and give it to you.
I've spent since 2020 telling the public everything, including I wrote an article called Privacy is My Disease. So in that, I spent 2 years going live 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, telling my whole story by helping people online during the pandemic and afterwards. So I actually addressed that. And the greatest thing that people say to me, which is a compliment, is that when they come and see me, they say, you're exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
There's very little difference. But if you asked me that question, like 5 years ago, there would have been a list of things. But I basically have gone through and told everybody, because I don't know what to say. I am completely open. Everything, my background, my history, my sexual abuse, I'm trying to think if there's anything. I'm not sure I really got anything. It's not that I don't have it. If I have it, there's something I haven't been aware of as of this point. But I pretty much use this platform to do that. Let me ask another way. Is there anything that you want the world to know about you that they don't know currently?
It's very similar to the first question.
Kind of. But one was Devil's Cocktail, the other one is Angel's Cocktail. In your words.
Maybe just the realization that when you're an alcoholic, you stop drinking, but you're always an alcoholic, right? You just don't drink, so you You just count the years that you haven't drank alcohol. You still define as an alcoholic. What I've realized is that I'm predispositioned to be depressed. So I find that I will always be depressed my entire life, but I'm not in a depressed state. What that means is that I think that when people get out of a depression, they shouldn't just go, that's it, I won't be depressed again. That's not the state. If you're predispositioned genetically to be depressed, it is more likely that you'll go down there again. So what I consciously have to do on an everyday basis is go against the small instincts where my brain wants to drive me towards depression again or sadness. So I have to be consciously aware that my brain wants to go in that direction. But now when I practice my brain for so many years, 7 or 8 years, going against it, it is so easy. It's like, it's the easiest thing in the world to direct it in the other direction. But for a long while, it was not.
Sure. Yeah, call it momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're either moving towards devil's cocktail or you're moving towards angels.
It's a snowball effect, momentum, in whichever direction you go into. So I think, especially in this society where we don't eat well, we eat food which isn't good for us. We live in cities where it's polluted. There's too much noise. We read news which isn't the true reflection of the world, and so on and so forth. We really don't create the best circumstances for happiness. So just, I think the people listening on this, they just have to understand that it's never, ever, ever in human history been harder to be a human. Like it was, or be a human brain. Like 100 years ago, being a human brain was easy. There was no stores that you could go into where you were constantly attracted to the worst things that was like bad for you. That you are constantly bombarded by advertisement, by mobile phone apps, by the idea that you need to be rich, that everyone can be rich, that you can choose whatever you want to be. It's like, it's never been harder. So don't believe that you're living in a society which is super easy and that your life should be super easy because of that.
Rich versus poor. What do you feel? Which one's easier?
Which one's easier? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't really matter.
No.
You mentioned your gardener earlier.
Yeah. I have plenty of poor friends who are way happier than my billionaire friends. Yeah. I think there's obviously science behind this as well. Just a certain set of money makes life easier to live.
Needs. Maslow's hierarchy.
Yeah.
Food and shelter.
Yeah. As long as you reach that, yeah, you're pretty good. But if you're a billionaire and you still feel that you need to, like, I was in Switzerland about a month ago and I was at a cocktail party and it was such an insane situation because people were literally bragging about their yachts. And when that wasn't enough, they were like, well, I own this part of a city and so on and so forth. And then when that wasn't enough, the people who won the argument were the ones that said, literally again, well, I've bought the Mona Lisa or something like that. There's a unique item no one else can own on this earth. Those were the ones that won the conversations.
Scarcity.
Yeah. But they were all billionaires. What I'm saying here is that they weren't happy. Yeah. They were like, I am not happy with the state I am in. I have to have more. And they were agitated by that. They were stressed by that. And they felt down when they saw this person have a 4 meter longer yacht. And you could see them going like, oh, fuck, I've got to get a bigger yacht next year, you know? It's like, what on earth went wrong?
Yeah, I mean, from tens of millions to owning nothing, it was the hardest thing I ever did, but the most freeing. Yeah. I even look amongst the people that surround me and their desire to hang on to things, and I see the attachments. One of the things that I learned in my journey was give up all your attachments. That was the message I kept getting. And the driver's license, I'll tell you specifically about that. I had a literal panic attack because I've had some issues with governments. So they were trying to take away my driver's license. Governments.
Plural.
Yes, many of them. They were trying to take away my driver's license, which I could have easily fought. But But I'm like, they give me a deadline to comply to something and give them all my financial records to prove I was a resident of the country. And I'm like, I don't, why? I have a power bill and a lease. You don't need anything more than that. So I was like, why am I so bothered by this decision? They want to take it away, take it away. Like, I don't care, but I'd said I don't care, but I shouldn't care, but why was I so bothered? And then I realized why I was so bothered. It was a really big lesson to me. It's because when I was 14, I got my driver's license in Canada. And up until that point, I lived in a small town that had no public transportation. So if I wanted to go somewhere, I had to hitchhike. And it was 50 below zero in the winter. And it was 40 above in the summer. And it's like extreme behavior, temperatures. And I used to have to rely upon my parents to drive me places. And I realized that the driver's license, I had for years thought about it, and I built all this emotion around it giving me freedom. And so when I was being asked to give up my driver's license, which was a bizarre request, when I said they're going to take it away from me, I'm like, why does this bother me? Why should I care? And it was because I had put so much emphasis on that being freedom as a kid. It was hardwired into me my entire life.
It's belief, limiting belief.
Yeah, that was, I guess, a limiting belief.
How you don't have a house?
No.
No?
No, but there's a property in Vancouver that's 8 bedrooms. There's one in Mexico that's 12 or 14. Someone donated in Cornwall a 12-bedroom house to us. And I live in a community of people that my partners, we don't have ownership, we have a foundation. We have access to use the properties. I don't own anything in it, but it's for the greater good of this, and it will outlive me. And it's for, so yeah, it's a,
wow.
I believe the world's going in a certain direction. And just like privacy was my disease, that when I wrote that, that article was meant to show people about what's going to happen, because I was in the cryptology privacy business and I knew it was going to change.
I'm very impressed by that.
It's been a journey, because one of the things we were talking about, the bigger yachts, I'm like, well, I got one thing, I don't own anything.
Yeah.
And the freeing aspect of not owning it has been cool. So, today, I have a problem. I'm watching this. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling like I'm not where I want to be in my life, my relationship, my life, where I want my job or whatever. What is the first step that you tell people to take? The very first step.
It's probably the stress mapping. Yeah.
So map your stress.
Yeah, just
what stresses you out.
Yeah.
And if
get somebody to help you with that, because it's very hard to do yourself.
Yeah, so get somebody to say, here's the things that stress you out. Somebody who knows you,
Yeah.
who could say, well, actually, these other things.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll start there. And if they haven't meditated and they don't meditate at the moment, definitely do that.
Right.
It's by experience, and you've probably experienced it, and even by science, we know that it is incredibly powerful, where it rewires your brain, improves neuroplasticity, increases dopamine, reduces cortisol, increases DHA, and so on. It's mega powerful. So I'd definitely say that. And then practice mindfulness. I assume you do mindfulness.
I have a different feeling of how the brain and the body and the mind work, and I'm challenging science on it right now. So I have a different philosophy. I have a different story of how they're all organized in our body. It's not that the story that we currently tell is not that's wrong. I have like the astrology, I have a story that I feel is better explains the things I couldn't explain before.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. The mind, when it doesn't have a problem, doesn't work.
Yeah.
And if I don't have a problem to solve, the mind doesn't. So the greatest series of problems we have are physically in our body, which you're talking about remediating by jumping in a cold plunge, stuff like that. Inflammation, trauma and stress, and those are the things that hold. And when we reduce stress over a long enough period of time, mineralize and hydrate the body, those things go away. That's what happened for me, and that's what I've been showing people.
Yeah.
The journey through that. So I just have a slightly different view, but I wasn't a coach like you are. I was a practitioner working on the science of it. And the guys who were doing all this with neuroplasticity and brain science and stuff like this were also my patients. And I was seeing the best in the world fail at some point, and I said there has to be a better way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just opening up to the fact that opening up to the opportunity that there's way more out there, and I'm in full discovery mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
What's past all the things that we've been told?
Yeah. It's good. The world needs that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the world needs all components of it. It feels like you're doing the same thing, though.
Yeah, we're opening people's eyes, definitely. We're helping them. Because sadly enough, we started off this session by saying that sadly it's a majority who live in the state of sadness to depression and on a scale somewhere in between there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people. But what's even worse is that they have no idea how to get out of it. And again, the majority of those. So they end up, I don't know, on antidepressants, for instance. But everyone knows that doesn't help. It helps for the moment to just lock your emotions in, so you're not all over the place, but it won't get you out of the depression. You still have to do all the changes in your life to leave that depression and go into a happy state. But a majority, they don't know how to fix this. And that's a lot of people out there who are just confused by the idea that they're feeling sad. And some, they don't even know they're sad.
Yeah, it's hard to know you're sad until you have a contrast experience.
How long? An interesting question I've been asking myself lately. What do you think if we were to define an emotion as being fulfilled? Yeah, okay, let's go with fulfilled. It's one of many emotions, yeah? Do you believe there's a scale?
Yeah, I believe there's a scale to everything.
Yeah.
So in my personal experience, from depression to happiness, I believe that there's a complete scale.
Yeah.
And I can be completely happy and find new levels of happiness. And I also feel that in my own experience has been in the context for me of eliminating the distractions of this world. The more I eliminate, the more I let go, the more fulfilled, the more happy that I seem to be.
Yeah.
Jesus said it, the Buddha said it, the Ascended Masters all tend to have the same belief system, that it's the attachment to everything, whether it's a belief, an idea, or a physical thing. It starts off with physical, but then it's the belief about it, and then it's actually who I became from it. That's been my journey. I've been letting go of the attachments, and it's kind of weird. Like I own T-shirts and shorts. It's funny because when I'm told I have to go somewhere, I don't have clothes sometimes, and I show up in the same thing. So that's I believe there's a constant sliding scale, and I believe that as humans we're evolving and we're finding new depths to that scale.
Well, I'm happy you agree on that, because if we look at science, they don't agree with that. The theory is that we just go down to the same baseline again.
Science has always been
constantly.
The first thing when people talk about science is, what are we doing today that 10, 20, 30 years from now we're going to say that was wrong? And if you look back at science has been consistently wrong.
Yeah.
It's not that we shouldn't use it, but we used to say smoking, 4 out of 5 doctors would recommend smoking even for pregnant women. And that was only like 70 years ago. So at some point it's a belief that's been established and tested, and we don't know the long-term consequences of it. We've only been measuring stuff realistically for 40, 50 years. I mean, maybe even 100 if you want to count some things. But what happens over 1,000 years or 10,000 years? We don't really have those measurements.
No.
So again, why don't we just start experiencing?
Yeah. I think that creates a limiting belief when people believe the science of that there's a baseline and you can't get over that baseline. But I agree with you that there's a scale for each of the emotions that you can go happy, happier, happy, you just increase that scale until you feel euphoric. And the same thing for being present.
And if I'm euphoric over a long enough period of time, that euphoria becomes depressive. And so I have to have contrast. So the one thing I've learned is that I need contrast.
Yeah.
I need to have a high and a low in order to recognize either one.
Yep.
The human experience neutralizes everything that it has that doesn't change. And so for me, driving contrast is to accept the fact that not everything's going to work out the way I want it to. And if I just accept that they don't, then my acceptance is the goal and not the response of life. That's where I'm at.
I like that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
How do you influence your own emotions from a communication perspective?
So in my talk, The Magical Science of Storytelling, what I do is I induce these neurosubstances through stories. So I literally tell my audience, I'm going to induce dopamine in you now. And you got a bunch of stubborn people put their arms together and they go like, no, that's not happening, man. And I tell the story and I induce so much dopamine that they've just lost it, you know. And so I go, okay, so there you are, proven. I made it happen. Let's go for oxytocin. And then I tell them a story which induces oxytocin. And then I do it for endorphins and I do it for cortisol and I can do it for every single neurosubstance and they will feel a different experience. Now, what's powerful with this is to understand that the stories you tell yourself increase the very same things. So if you or anyone in this room start telling them stories about hope, about possibility, about opportunity, about that goal, about that objective, and they start revving themselves up, amplifying the idea of achieving this thing, then they produce dopamine. But it's by the stories that they tell themselves that create this sensation in them. Or if you want to be suddenly more present as a communicator, like you're very present during this entire talk. I've done thousands of podcast interviews where I've been receiving the interview and it's very rare to be as present as you are. But very few people can be present on command. So how do you do that? You induce oxytocin. How do you do that? You tell yourself a story which has the properties of oxytocin, which are stories of sadness, stories of compassion. So in your mind, you replay stories where you see your kids running towards you when you get home. Or when your daughter was up there proud getting whatever. Or you think about maybe things that make you slightly sad. But all of these have proven to increase oxytocin and vasopressin. So the answer to the question is this, that the stories you tell yourself, they're not just stories, they inflict the very neurosubstances that create the psychological effects of you as a human being. So therefore, be careful of the stories you tell yourself and become good at telling the stories you want to hear when you need to hear them.
You know how I stay present?
Hit me.
I look for every piece of you that I can see in me. So I'm looking for me in you constantly. I'm looking for the points of similarity.
Wow.
And that's like the story of someone coming home. I feel like you're here to show me something about myself. And that's how before I touch any human body, I look for how that person's there to affect me.
Wow. Never done that before. I'm going to try that this week.
That's it. As I realized that if I touch a body and I touch it without understanding why, I believe that we're all here to help, to reflect. And if I touch you and help you through something without getting the reflection, then I take on part of that emotion that you had. And I can clinically show that, like from a standpoint of working with people in their trauma. But if I find out where I am in your story or where you are in my story, and I use that reflection point to learn, then all of a sudden I have the compassion and the understanding and the look. And it doesn't matter what it is, I'll find it.
I'm making a note of that. I'm doing that. I'm going to try that.
I'm stealing a whole bunch of your stuff. So yeah. So part of what I notice is you're a storyteller. My whole thing is I tell a story and I help people tell a story. I use astrology to help people tell a story about their circumstances, either past, present, and relate it to how they feel physically, what's going on with them, to shift their perception. Because to be a good storyteller, I found the best way to be a storyteller is to shift the perception of people. I'm a perceptionist, and that's what you are.
Yeah. That's where the power comes in.
shifting perception.
Yeah.
Because when you shift a perception, so perception itself is what drives experience, and experience is what drives the hormones. So if I shift a perception into a specific experience and I know what that experience is, I drive the hormones, which you do. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, I just come at it a different way.
We're related. It's got to be.
We definitely are related. We're like the same in so many different ways. You're better looking than I am, though.
Oh, I'm going to add that to my list.
It's been fantastic getting to know you.
Truly.
I have a feeling that this will be the first of many conversations.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
Thanks for tuning in, and if you enjoyed this content, follow us on social media channels, The Human Garage Experience, Apple, Spotify, and all other channels. We're on a mission to inspire 1 billion people worldwide, and the way that you participate is by liking, subscribing, and sharing our content. Every share that you take brings us one step closer to that billion people. This has been a fantastic episode. We enjoyed presenting it to you. Be a part of this worldwide revolution and share it now.